Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well and are all coping with the situation that's going on at the moment. So for a little bit of a midweek treat, I thought I would come on and just give you some of my April favourites, like my April lifestyle, and how I've been surviving, what I've been doing to help. Hopefully this video will give you a chance to get to know me a bit better, and it's just something a bit different to the weekly vlogs that I've been doing. So to start off with, I thought I would take you through some of the books that I have demolished during this time. April I went through a lot of books. I just found them as a good way to escape from the world and from the situation that's going on, and really take my mind to another place. So the first book that we're going to go with is The Hobbit. So many people have probably actually heard about The Hobbit. It's the prequel to the Lord of the Rings series, and it follows Bilbo Baggins as he goes on his adventure to the mountain where to fight Smaug the dragon. And I really enjoyed it. It is a kid's book technically, however I did find some parts of it were quite hard to read through. Like, I sometimes found that I lacked a bit of motivation to read it because some of the story parts are quite in-depth and quite detailed, but overall I really enjoyed the story. It's a good action book, and you really by the end of it know all of the characters individually, and you feel like there could be this magical mystic other world that we're taking part that's just there. So I really enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend having a read of it if you like the sort of fantasy books and anything like that. Also, if you enjoyed the films, the book is so much better. I mean, I've only seen the first film, but I just didn't get on well with the first film. I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings films, but the first Hobbit film, it's not for me, but the book was so good. So then for the next one, what we've got is The Recruit by Robert Muchamore, yeah. So this is part of the first book of the Cherub series. So I've had this book for ages and I just never actually got around to reading it. Again, it's sort of more of a young adult's children's book, so I probably should have read it a while ago when I first bought it. However, I've got time in my hands now, so I finally first read it. And the blurb is quite interesting because I feel like the blurb doesn't actually fit to the story that's in the book. You would expect something along the lines of the blurb to actually be in the story, however it doesn't really. So the blurb says a terrorist doesn't let strangers into her flat because they might be undercover police or intelligence agents, but her children bring their mates home and they run all over the place. The terrorist doesn't know that one of these kids has bugged every room in her house, made copies of all her computer files and stolen her address book. The kid works for Cherub. Cherub agents are aged between 10 and 17. They live in the real world, slipping under adult radar and getting information that sends criminals and terrorists to jail. For official purposes, these children do not exist. So it's a really good storyline, and I really enjoyed it. So it follows James as he goes from being just an ordinary schoolboy to a whole situation with his mum and his stepdad and his little sister Lauren, and then how he becomes a Cherub agent, and then eventually goes on one of his first missions. It's really good. I really enjoyed it overall. I probably say if you've ever read the Alex Rider book series before, it's quite similar, so I think you'd really enjoy this. I absolutely loved the Alex Rider series when I was a little kid, so I'm just as engrossed in this. I'm actually going to buy the second book so I can then read it, because I might as well whilst I've got time, and then hopefully work my way through the rest of the series. It moves quite quickly through the book. There are some good action in there, but overall it's nothing too in-depth, and it's quite easy to get into and get reading, so it's very easy to become part of James's world and the world of the Cherub agents and just escape from your everyday life. So that's that one. Book number 3 I read is India Black and the Widow of Windsor. So this is the second book in the series by Carol K. Carr. So the first book in the series is just called India Black, and that really sets up the story for this one and kind of has a whole different thing. Again, it's sort of like a secret agent style, like investigation. However, these are set in the Victorian era. So this one, whether running a brothel or running from danger as a spy for Her Majesty, India Black knows how to use the tricks of her trade. This time she's off to Scotland to ensure that the Queen doesn't end up getting killed. When Queen Victoria attends a séance, the spirit of her departed husband, Prince Albert, insists that she spends Christmas at their Scottish home in Balmoral, a deviation from her usual practice. The Prime Minister suspects that Scottish nationalists are planning to assassinate the Queen and sends the ever-resourceful India and the handsome British spy French to the Scottish Highlands undercover. So that's just a little section of the blurb. I'm not going to read it all out to you, but this very much is a Victorian book. From some of the ways that they talk in it, to the descriptions of some of the fashions and the use of snuff at like meal times, as well as the separation of men and women and the different genders and how they're expected to act. So I really enjoyed it because it does bring such a unique insight to the Victorian era. However, it's with the twist, with India Black actually being the mistress of a brothel. So she owns one of them, and she then falls into this life of becoming an undercover spy for the British government. If you are interested in reading this, I would very strongly recommend reading the first book, because they do follow on. Although they are quite separate stories, you don't understand the full depth of the characters in this one without having read the first book, and that's how you'll then understand how they all meet and how it all links together. So yeah, again though, this is on my high list of things you should read. I have actually got the third and fourth books now of the series, so I will be getting on with reading them soon. So the fourth book that I'm going to tell you about is actually quite a cult classic, I would say. It is Helen Fielding's Bridget Jones's Diary. So pretty much every person will have heard of Bridget Jones, and if you haven't, have you been living under a rock? Most people know her best for the film that stars Renée Zellweger. That is how I know Bridget Jones. However, this book is amazing. It's absolutely brilliant. It brings another side to Bridget Jones again that is not shown in the films. It is in some ways a little bit obsessive about her weight. I did find at some points that I was just skipping over sections because it was talking about like what she'd eaten that day, how many calories, how many cigarettes, and I just feel like maybe that's not healthy anymore. However, at the time this was written, that was probably acceptable to do so. Also, I just wouldn't necessarily class Bridget Jones as overweight in my eyes, so I feel like for her to be saying she's overweight and she's counting calories, it's possibly got a detrimental effect on some women and some men in the current situation. However though, like the general struggles that she goes through in her 30s and the fact that she's single and like absolutely loving and hating life at the same time, I feel is something that everybody can respond to. Even if you're not 30 like myself, I'm in my early 20s, I feel like I could definitely relate to some of the issues that she's had, and just, it's a really good book. It's light-hearted, funny, like there were some points where I was pretty much laughing out loud, and I'd say I finished this in about a day and a half. I couldn't put it down. Pretty much. I wanted to know more about Bridget, more about her life, more about her parents, more about Mark Darcy. I wanted to be part of the world, so I literally can't recommend it more. Just maybe if you are concerned about your weight or eating, take it with a pinch of salt, or wait until you are in a better state of mind to actually read it, because I do feel like in that instance it could be detrimental to some people. Okay, so a bit of a change of pace again. For the fifth book, It is Peter James's Dead Simple. So this is again the first book in his series, all about Detective Superintendent Roy Grace and some of the murder inquiries that he goes on to, or the missing persons inquiries. So this one, it's all about a guy called Michael Harrison, who is a groom-to-be, and 4 days before his wedding he actually goes on a stag night with some of his friends, and they decide to play a practical joke on him, and basically it goes wrong. So it ends up being sort of a find the missing person rather than just being a practical joke and them coming back later. So for the blurb it says, "It was meant to be a harmless stag night prank. A few hours later, Michael Harrison has disappeared and 4 of his friends are dead. With only 3 days to the wedding, Detective Superintendent Roy Grace, a man haunted by the shadow of his own missing wife, is contacted by Michael's beautiful, distraught fiancée, Ashley Harper. Grace discovers that the one man who ought to know Michael Harrison's whereabouts is saying nothing, but then he has a lot more to gain than anyone realises, for one man's disaster is another man's fortune." This book is amazing. I literally cannot rave about it anymore. It is one of the best, like, whodunit, where is he mystery books I honestly have probably ever read. I could not put it down. This was finished in less than a day. I finished it cover to cover, was so invested in the story, and it is so well written. Like, there are some chapters in there that are just so well written that I was getting stressed just reading them, but like not a bad stress, like a good stress of, oh my god, we need to find him. I think it's really well written in that some of the chapters are different lengths depending on what character it is talking about. So for some of the Detective Grace ones, they're shorter in the beginning, but then they start to get longer as he gets more involved. And for Michael Harrison himself, they're longer at the beginning and then they get shorter as like the time starts to run out. This is such a good story. I would honestly not recommend it enough. And the ending, oh, I'm in love with the ending. Like, the twists in this book are amazing. Peter James is a genius. It's another one I'm going to be getting a second book for. I definitely will be reading this series. So the final book that I'm going to actually properly talk about to you, although I did read a couple more, is Fiona Barton's The Child. So this book I bought because I saw a billboard of it when I was on the train back home in Leeds. I have had this book for a couple of years actually. It's another one that I've never quite got around to reading, but I saw kind of the blurb of it and I was like, that sounds so interesting, and I thought it was such an interesting concept that I just wanted to get into it. So it says, when a paragraph in an evening newspaper reveals a decades-old tragedy, most readers barely give it a glance. Ugh, can't talk today. But for 3 strangers, it is impossible to ignore. For one woman, it is a reminder of the worst thing that ever happened to her. For another, it reveals the dangerous possibility that her darkest secret is about to be discovered. And for the third, a journalist, it's the first clue in a hunt to uncover the truth. The child's story will be told. So this is all about these 3 women, and it circulates so well between the 3 of them and a couple of other characters thrown in there. It grips you from the beginning. So the premise of it is that a baby's body is dug up in a construction site, and it's all about whose baby is it. Is it someone that had their baby snatched from them? Is it a different baby? And all about how DNA is being used to test for it, but also how DNA can sometimes be slightly wrong. It's such an ingenious idea for a book, because I am sure that there is probably instances of this in the world where this has really actually happened, and I honestly think that it was done so well and so realistic that I just couldn't think of a better way to like express this story. It's just amazing. I would definitely recommend, if you can get your hands on it, do read it, love it. Like, I just was so engrossed. Even when I wasn't reading the book, I wanted to know about the baby. I wanted to know whose it was, why they would bury it there, things like that. I just needed answers, and I think that made such a good like mystery investigation story. And the fact that it's not necessarily about death in the sense of who killed the baby, it's more like trying to find answers and closure for people. I just feel like it was quite symmetrical to some stories that have probably happened in the newspapers for real, and because it was so realistic and like actually has real places in it, I honestly felt like I could go pick up a newspaper today and there would be this story about the baby in the newspaper, and I just thought that was amazing. So that's the final book that I'm actually going to talk about. I did read 2 other books as well. So I read Why Do So Many Incompetent Men Become Leaders and How to Fix Them, which is sort of like a self-help book about leadership and what leadership qualities you should have. Again, I would recommend reading it, but only if you feel like you want to improve in your leadership style, or like you want to understand more about how to become a leader. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an easy read. I did struggle to get through it a bit, and some points I was kind of like, what's going on? I don't really fully understand what I learned from the book. I like, there is some learning from there that is, you know what's going on, but other bits I'm kind of like, what does this even mean? So it is a good book, but I'm not sure I wouldn't recommend for someone to read it necessarily. And the other book that I've read is Fallen Academy, and that was the first book, year 1, and that was really good. It's like another twist on the fall of the angels, and all about the angelic war between the angels and the demons, and how that actually affected the human population on Earth. I thought that was really well done. I really enjoyed it, and there is a couple of twists and turns in the story. However, if you're not really that into that sort of fantasy, like angels versus demons, then it's maybe not for you. So that's just why I haven't included it in this. For me, I really enjoyed it. I will be getting the second one and reading through, because I've become quite attached to some of the characters in there. So yeah. Okay. So that's it for books for me. The other couple of bits are just quite quick, just some things to mention, some things to show. So first off, obviously we're in isolation, so it's kind of a time to like make sure you're taking care of yourself. I haven't really been wearing that much makeup, but I've just been letting my skin breathe. And one of the good ways of like doing that, I found, is through doing face masks. So I have done a couple of sheet masks because they are amazing. Just put them on, they're already there, and then just I feel that they're so moisturising. But 2 other masks that I've been absolutely loving this month, or in April, are the Quick Fix Facials Anti-Blemish Mud Mask for oily and spot prone skin. So this is your typical spread on, goes hard, wash off face mask. It's great. I kind of have combination skin in that it gets kind of oily down the bottom and on my forehead. However, like sort of on the tops of my cheeks and around my eyes and my nose, it is quite dry. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm quite spot prone. However, if I suddenly wear lots of makeup, then I will get spots, or if I suddenly eat loads of chocolate, which is kind of what's happened here. I ate half a chocolate egg the other day because we still had Easter eggs, so yes. But this face mask is just so nice and so kind of calming and cooling on your face that I would just recommend it. You're only meant to leave it on for about 10 minutes and then just wash it away with warm water. I always leave it on for way too long, not gonna lie, but I do that with all my face masks, and it's just really nice, really easy to put on. The one thing with it is it sometimes does split in when it's just being stored and not being used. You do have to shake it before you use it, otherwise it kind of doesn't work as well. You get like just a clear liquid comes out rather than the actual more clay liquid, but as long as you make sure you do that, then it comes out fine. Also, I just find that it smells so nice. It's really fresh, but also like it smells like it works, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd recommend that one. Also, another one that I've loved is the Elemis Superfood Berry Boost Mask. So this is only a little mini because I got it as a sample from my Birchbox that I get every month. I just thought I'd give it a try. It is a purple mask as it goes on, but it's not quite an in-your-face clay mask. It's more of one of the, looks like you're spreading jam on your face and it stays wet the whole time. This is really good to actually get rid of like dark circles and things like that. It just kind of, I feel like it colour corrects my skin a little bit, brightens my face up. It does tingle a bit when it's on your face, but it is meant to, so that's kind of shows it's working. But obviously if it really stings, take it off. Again, you're only meant to leave it on for about 10 minutes. I do kind of stick to that with this one just because the tingling, it's not hurting, but it just isn't necessarily comfortable. So I would probably recommend with this one, definitely do stick to just the 10 minutes or maybe less. But overall, it's a really good mask. I really feel like it does stuff to my skin. It like plumps it up, and it helps just to settle it and change, like colour correct some of the areas a bit. So that's another one. So moving on, I have got one little bit of makeup. Oh, excuse me. I'll do that again, I'll cut that out. So moving on, we have got one little bit of makeup. So this is the Naked 2 palette by Urban Decay. I absolutely love this, I adore it. So I bought this palette by my boyfriend's parents for Christmas. I just think it is such a gorgeous palette. Like the colours in here are just amazing. But this is in this month's favourites because we've done a couple of kind of big nights in this month. Obviously we've not been able to go out. I've had a couple of my housemates have had birthdays, or we just wanted to celebrate and just stay in. So what we did is we basically did a night out in our flat, and this was really good for just a quick simple makeup eye look that actually looked impressive. Like it doesn't take a lot of work. I'm not a makeup artist, as you can probably tell from my face today. I just kind of throw it on and hope for the best, and the colours in here, they go together so well that I just feel like I didn't have to work that hard to get them to work for me, and it just generally was such a good palette to have every day. Like the neutral shades, they are so perfect that if you just wanted a little bit of something on your eyes, you can do that, but equally then you've got majority of the shades in here are shimmers, so you can have that little bit of a pop, and they're just gorgeous. So would definitely recommend this palette, just for every day, even just to wear every day really. Yeah, it's good for nights out, it's good for day makeup, it's good for pretty much anything, but at the moment, obviously, I'm not really wearing makeup. I'm only really wearing them when we're doing like big nights out, when I'm filming for you guys. So this comes in handy then, that I can just do it quickly and I don't have to spend too much time, but it still looks amazing. So final thing that I actually have here to talk to you about is actually my Instax Square 6 camera. So this I love. I bought this very kindly by my boyfriend for Christmas, I think it was. It was either Christmas or my birthday. I'm pretty sure it was Christmas though. and it is just amazing. Like, I love it anyway, but at the moment I feel like it's coming even more in handy, because if we go out for our walks or when we have the big nights in, it's very easy to just pick this up and instantly capture the moment, and we're just loving it, really. We're enjoying being able to just suddenly go, yes, this is the moment. And also, like, it just is so easy to use. It's got different settings, so it's got the automatic, it's got selfies, so it's actually got a camera on it so that we can take selfies with it. It's got like portrait, landscape. It's got one that you can take 2 photos on the same thing, so I haven't tried that yet, but I want to. So basically I think you can, like, it does really quick, so you could suddenly change pose and it might make it look like you've got kind of 2 sets of arms, which could be quite cool. I'm intrigued for that. And then it's also got a light and a dark setting. You can also set a timer on this, which has been so good, because when we're trying to do group shots, obviously I want to be in it as well, but we don't all fit in the selfie one necessarily, so I can set this up elsewhere, like just put it on a shelf, set it at the right level, set the timer, and then we can all get in position and pose, which is amazing, because normally with a Polaroid camera, like some of the previous ones, if you're taking the photo, you can't be in it. So I think that's great. I just absolutely love this. I'm in love with this. I'm in love with having Polaroids, just something physical to capture the moment. I think it's really good to be able to actually capture the good moments of isolation, just because then it gives you a physical reminder of some of the good times. If you're having a bad day, then it means you can actually look at a physical photo and remember the time that you've enjoyed in isolation, and that it's not all that bad. So yeah, so that's all the physical things I have here with me. Just some of the bits kind of just to throw in there that I've been loving this month. In terms of like music and podcasts, I've been loving listening to Private Parts by Jamie Lang and Francis Bull from Made in Chelsea. Their podcast is great. Everyone says it's hilarious. I don't necessarily find it hilarious, however I do enjoy just some of the ridiculousness of the chats that they have in there. I also love the little bits of insights into their lives that you get from the diary, or into celebrities' lives that you get from some of the questions they ask. And the questions of the week I think are great. It's such a fun little way to learn more about the world and just learn some almost useless facts that you would only ever use for a pub quiz, but they're useful to know. So yeah, I love that. I've been enjoying the running podcast by Dev and Sam Thompson, again of Made in Chelsea, but Dev off the radio. They were doing a podcast in lead up for their marathon. I just think it's quite a good one to listen to, because it kind of explains some of the techniques of running and how to not injure yourself, because I have some of the same issues that Sam has. So I have shin splints, and I find that when I go for longer runs it does hurt more, and it's just quite good that they've got some experts there on their podcast that can like help you understand all these different issues. Sorry if this has kind of changed, my camera just died, so I was talking about Vampire Diaries and how much I love it, but I just had to take a bit of a break from it. And yeah, I just can't recommend it enough, really. I love the story. I absolutely loved the books as a child, and I think the first time I watched it I couldn't get past the fact that they've changed some of the characters and some of the storylines, but now I can see how much it kind of adds to it, and I don't mind the fact that it's changed so much. I mean, now by the end of season 3 it's kind of completely gone separate to the books. It's only got like the very basics the same, so I'm enjoying the fact that it's just a completely different story again. And then the final thing that I'd say I'm loving, that's only just started really at the end of April, is the Great British Sewing Bee. I love this. That and the Bake Off are just some of my favourites, and the fact that this is still there on a Wednesday night and we can all watch it is great. Joe Lycett is amazing. He is so funny, and I just love the challenges that they do in it. I just think it's really like family warm programme that you can just enjoy at any time. So I definitely recommend, if you've never seen it before, watch it, but go back to the beginning so that you get the full feel of the entire series. And finally, the best one kind of to end on, RuPaul's Drag Race. Oh my god. So I had never watched any RuPaul before until my housemate made me watch the British version, so the UK version that was just on, with Davina De Campo and the Vivian and Bag of Chips. This time she's got me watching the original RuPaul Drag Race, season 12, and I'm just in love. I love it so much. I honestly look forward to watching it every week, every Saturday. We are there, we're watching it, we watch Untucked, and it's just so good. Like, I honestly didn't realise what I was missing out. So I think when this series finishes, I'm actually going to go back and watch some of the old series. Like, I just so enjoy it, and I'm so into it. Quite sad on some of some of the people that have left, especially like more recently. But it's just, I really enjoy it, and I found that it's really good to like have your favourite on it, and like root for them. And yeah, it's just great. I mean, we're considering having a like drag night in, and actually getting all dragged up, the four of us, at some point whilst we're still stuck inside. I'm just obsessed. I love the makeup, I love the costumes, I love all the different challenges. I just think it's amazing, and if you've not seen it, what are you doing? It's on Netflix. Go watch it. Go understand the amazing power of Drag Race. I mean, I think I love it so much because I love America's Next Top Model anyway, and it's kind of similar, but then you add drag on top of that, and it's just great. So that's my little rave about that to finish off with. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little insight into what I've been doing in April and how I've been surviving. I hope you're all doing okay, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.